Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry, 888-713-2929. That's our telephone number. If you pick up the phone and give us a call, we can talk to you right now about mortgages, about securing a mortgage for you. Hey, it's spring buying season, and I know there's a lot of people out there buying properties, or at least looking at properties. Depending on the area you're in, depending on the type of property you want to buy, yeah, their inventory is a little slim. I know I'm taking buyers out right now myself. And yes, I still do real estate. Yes, I still take buyers out. Why? Because one, I like the money. And two, I like to be able to get into the field and see what's happening with people in the marketplace. So my particular buyers have, placed an offer or two on properties, and they're competing on a couple. And, it's not easy out there. And so if you are in that situation, you probably need to get a mortgage broker approval for your submission of your offer. It's really important. And in order to do that, you just got to contact somebody, either our office at Malibu Funding. Now, Malibu Funding sponsors the Mortgage Voice. I really appreciate them doing that. They have a number of great loan officers. If you go to their website, malibufunding.net. You can see pictures and profiles of many of the different loan officers in the different areas. Show is broadcast today, and as always, in three different areas, and I really appreciate those listeners: KCAA, KMET, Roadrunner, and of course, K-Tahoe, some of the areas that we do broadcast the show, as well as out in Las Vegas and on the internet at themortgagevoice.com. The information that we supply tries to help you decide or help you figure out whether you can afford a mortgage, if you're going to get a mortgage, what kind of mortgage. There's all kinds of products out there right now, whether you have a stated type of loan, and yes, stated type loans are back. And if you're considering doing something like that, understand that usually the rate's higher, and usually you have to have more skin in the game. And what do I mean by that is that 25% cash into the deal would probably be one of those stated type loans, meaning that you have equity in the property. Now, we have an ascending market here in Southern California, actually most of America. If you're out there right now and you're in a different state and you're listening to this, or you're on the internet listening to this, you're probably nodding your head going, yeah, that's right. Ran into a guy, actually I spent time this weekend with somebody from St. Louis who was telling me that they had finally listened to me, gone about getting credit and how they went about establishing credit. You get the gas card, you get a local store card, you eventually get a secure credit card, and you build credit. You want 3 trade lines at least on each credit reporting bureau so that you can actually get a score that counts. Obviously, if you're paying a car note, that really helps too. There's certainly ways that you can use your rent, or if you can get your landlord to report your rent that you're paying on time, things like this to establish credit. And it's really, really important. Anyway, this guy from St. Louis was telling me about the real estate there and how real estate prices have really escalated. Now, in the middle part of the country, a lot of it, you won't get what you get in Southern California with the fluctuations in the market. I mean, we can go up from the highs to the lows during a recession to the highs post-recession like we have right now, 30 to 70%. In terms of market value on your house. Now, in the middle of the country, you're going to get 3 to 4% up and down either way. It's never really going to vary all that much. In talking to a friend of mine, this particular person who had paid off his house, his son was the one who was establishing credit. So it's different in different places in terms of the solutions you're going to need in order to get a mortgage, in order to buy that really dream house that you want. But inventories are slim, and it's very difficult to sort of figure out exactly what you need in order to get that pre-approval. And if you do contact one of our officers, great. We're going to have a couple of people on the show today. One of them is Clark Knobloch, and he's from Orion Lending, and he's going to talk to us about some of the programs they have at Orion. I believe some of the programs they have might be helping those particular borrowers who may not be W-2 wage earners. There are non-QM products out there, as everybody knows. Non-QM is qualified mortgages, non-qualified mortgages. Qualified mortgage is something that is purchased by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and those particular loans, which carry with them most of the time insurance, are obviously safer products for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But there are companies out there who will buy on the secondary market these non-QM loans. So there is a supply of money to be able to do that. And because we have a shrinking loan pool, i.e., because rates are going up, guess what? Refinances are going down. So there's more and more competition for loans out there. That's why you're seeing an expanse of loan products, and I think Clark's going to speak to that. Also on the show today, we're going to talk to John Vanis, who has a great concert coming up, a 3-day festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is the summer, and we're going to try to talk to him a little bit about what he's bringing to the marketplace there and his background in concert promotion and stuff like that. Some of the fun things that are available in the summertime. Look, this is what we do in the summer. In Southern California, certainly in Nevada, there's a lot of outdoor activity, a lot of things to do. Since last year's concert where we had the massive shooting, I wanted to talk to him a little bit about the security and how they're dealing with that from a concert promoter's standpoint and how relevant that is to people who will buy or sell tickets to the event. Obviously, it's very important security-wise, and we want to make sure that everybody who is attending any of these things is well aware of what the security measures are and obviously what the concert promoters do and what they think and how they think about the actual events. But I want to get the slate of his bands and who's actually attending. When you're looking to get a loan, you may go to the internet. And on the internet, there are a lot of ways that you can look for lenders. There's also a lot of people fishing for you, meaning that you are also a product to these people who are looking to help you. I.e., I heard about a situation with a lender and with a broker here in Southern California. And what happened, the borrower was basically solicited through a website which said, we can help you get a loan. And the borrower went to there, and the person who they spoke with on the phone, once they got into contact with them, told them that they could help them get the documentation that they needed in order to secure a loan for a house. These were people who were, English was not their first language. They were looking to obviously buy a loan. They could afford the monthly payment, but they could not prove enough income to be able to qualify for a Fannie Mae loan. As we were just talking about, Fannie Mae loans are more secure, they're insured, and they're less likely to draw attention on the secondary market to anybody who is possibly looking to audit the file. Well, this particular broker had a file audited, and the documentation that was provided to that particular borrower through this contact that they made online, right? So the borrower's looking to buy a house. They're from someplace else, or they're first generation, and they're here, and they are excited about buying a house, and someone comes to them and says, look, I can get a loan for you, and I'm going to help you do that by giving you the documentation to be able to do so. So what happened in the file, once the file funded, it gets obviously audited some years later. The investor looked at the file and said, look, none of these companies that you say you worked for exist. The W-2s provided, the verification income provided, the telephone numbers provided. At the time when the loan was funded, were all good. Years later, 2, maybe 3 years later, none of the information on the file in those particular documents are accurate. So the borrower listened to the person who could help them through a contact on the internet, and as a result of that, they may have some serious problems. As anyone who knows that does loans will tell you, since 2008, the federal government, the CFPB, there are many, many layers of security, many layers of checking the file, and many layers of draconian punishment that can be afforded to those who defraud on a loan. And this particular broker is now trying to figure out how they can go to the borrowers and try to work with the borrowers if, in fact, the borrowers were duped into providing information and documentation that wasn't theirs, wasn't legal, or if, in fact, the borrowers and the loan officer and everybody else was involved in some sort of scam to defraud. It's a mess. But this is the type of market we're in also. You are competing with many different type of people in order to get a loan for a property you want to buy. You want to buy a property. You're anxious to get in the market. You have money to pay the monthly mortgage and you don't have enough money to prove that you can pay that mortgage, even though you have 5 or 6 people that can obviously help you do that. So if you're going online to look at solutions for the problem, be very, very careful, because you may end up in a situation like the borrowers that worked with that particular broker who are now possibly facing some litigation and prosecution if, in fact, there's massive fraud going on with this particular file. I don't know if there is, but the guy was telling me about it because he's making me aware, and I'm going to make you aware as the listener out there. Be very wary of online people who say they can do something that you can't prove via either documentation of the particular job that you're in or by bank statements that you can provide for deposits. Anyway, I'm Jeff Barton. I'm your voice in the mortgage industry, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929. That's our telephone number. Pick up the phone and give us a call. We talk about mortgages and real estate and everything about that decision you got to make if you want to get a loan for a real estate deal. There are all kinds of ways to get one. As we were talking in the first section of the show, be careful out there if you're online shopping around for mortgages or ways to get mortgages, especially if you've got some limited documentation. A lot of fraud going out there right now, and so I just want to make sure that everybody listening to the show has that heads up. Make sure that they're not involved with any of that, because it carries unbelievable consequences. $1 million fine, 20 years in jail, and that's the minimum, okay? So it's a very, very serious thing, and I just want everybody to be aware of that. If you want to see us, go to themortgagevoice.com, and you can see this show as well as the Las Vegas Real Estate Show, which airs. We've got a lot of new episodes up, so if you go there and see the shows, really be excited, because we have some terrific information, great guests, and everything else that goes along with this. My Twitter handle is @Jeff6493. Email is info@malibufunding.net, and of course you're hearing me on the radio, so if you ever want to get in touch with me, you can do so via our website, which is www.malibufunding.net. Malibu Funding, NMLS number 79620. They're the sponsor of the show. Really appreciate them doing that. And again, thanks for listening. Okay, fun part of the show. We occasionally get great guests on the show who talk about some great events or things that are going on. We usually call it our entrepreneurial section of the show, but in this case, I've known John Vanis for many, many years, and he is now a concert promoter out in Las Vegas for this summer. And I wanted to bring John on the show just to talk a little bit about it, kind of bands he's doing, and how that's going. John, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jeff. I want to thank you for that great intro. And everybody that wants a mortgage definitely should give a call to you.
Hey, thank you. Good plug. I like that. All right, let's talk concerts. Tell me what it is and when you're doing it.
Hey, well, this May 18th, 19th, and 20th, we're producing a show called The Love-In.
Okay.
In Las Vegas. It's in Craig Ranch Regional Park. And for information, you can go to our website, www.thelovein.org. And it shows the complete lineup of all the artists. Friday, the gates open for camping. There'll be some light entertainment Friday night. Saturday, the gates to the main festival grounds open, and we have live music, over 10 bands on
Friday?
Saturday. And also on Sunday. Saturday's venue is alternative rock. Sunday is classic rock. And we've got some really great artists coming.
Okay, give us a teaser. Don't leave it out there like that. Who? Give us some name bands. I mean, is it local bands? Is it somebody, a national band? What is it?
Well, we've got some nationals. For example, on Saturday we've got Ziggy Marley.
Yeah.
Because this is a combination music and cannabis education festival.
Okay.
I don't know how everybody in your audience feels about cannabis, but
well, it's legal in California. It's legal in Nevada, so we're all in the same boat here.
Yeah, that's great, Jeff. That's great. I'm going to let Michael, my partner,
okay,
tell you a little bit more about it. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, Mike. How you doing?
excited. Glad to be on here. Yeah, things are coming together. We have a great event coming here. Really just we want to put something together that's accessible to everyone. We love the idea of, getting together over the summer. There's a lot of great festivals out there.
Yes, there are.
We want to do something that, was maybe a little bit more accessible, a little bit more affordable, bring the family together. So we're doing something great. It's a lot of fun. We have tons of daily activities, lots of fun artwork to play around in, some great vendors coming out, some incredible food. It's just going to be a good time. So you guys, again, need more details on that, check out the website. Again, that's www.thelovein.org. That's THELOVEIN.org. And, it'll be a great time, great weekend.
Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Obviously, Las Vegas had a horrible situation last summer. And security is always at any event, whether it's a football game, whether it's, the local, community event that you're doing or a large concert like you guys are planning out there in Vegas. Give us an idea of the security and the surrounding and some way to make people feel like this is going to be not only a great event fun-wise, but also a safe event.
Well, safety is our number one concern, and we're working very closely with the police department to provide security. The area is gated. Everybody that comes in will be wanted. There will be no weapons of any kind allowed into the festival grounds. There are no high rises. It's actually the old city golf course, so we have like a half square mile of land.
Okay.
And the perimeter is all secured, guarded, and there's security driving around the whole exterior of the event to make sure that there's no problems arrive. So it's safety is the greatest concern we have.
Okay, so you have an event. It's going to be in May, and security seems like you guys know what you're doing and working with the police. And by the way, the police department out there, from my knowledge and also working with them as well, they're pretty good, pretty easy to work with, and obviously since last summer, they're also very thorough.
Oh yeah, yep. Oh yeah, they're very professional. They're right on top of the issues. They know
Right.
exactly what we need to do, and we're working with them in a partnership. So, in fact, tomorrow I have to be in Vegas to meet with the chief of police again to finalize all the security issues.
Okay, so how are ticket sales going? Are you guys killing it? What are you doing?
Oh, I wouldn't say we're killing it, but if they're moving along quite well, this is right. The last month and a half is when ticket sales really happen. And I really appreciate you putting us online and on air, Jeff. It's going to help out immensely, I'm sure.
Well, you know what? I love helping, if I can help, if you call it that. Obviously, this is an event that is a local event in Las Vegas. We do this show, obviously, for the Las Vegas market, as well as the Las Vegas Real Estate Show, which I think we can have you on as a guest probably in about 2 weeks, as we talked about, just because I think people have to understand that when you have a horrible event, you still have to move on. You have to be trusting of the people running the event as well as the local law enforcement to be able to protect and be able to have you all have a good time. Now, in regards to that, mixing marijuana, are you selling alcohol on the premises? You got beer tents and things like that?
There'll be beer, wine, and also cocktails.
Great.
There will be no cannabis sold at the event.
Okay.
That is illegal in Las Vegas. And also in the state of Nevada. But there'll be lots of people there providing information about the benefits of cannabis medicinally, and I think getting the word out to the public is an important thing.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, when we talk about the non-high portion of the hemp plant or the marijuana plant helping in pain, whether it's in creams or other things, helping cancer patients, all kinds of things that particular product can help with, the getting high part. Now, it's funny, I attended a wedding in San Diego over the weekend, and people from out of town came in, and they were just blown away by the fact that you could just walk down the street into a store and purchase whatever you wanted to, and they basically really enjoyed their time here in California. So is it going to be a situation whereby you're going to have people obviously partaking? It's a concert. I mean, I assume it's going to be open. How many stages are you going to have?
We have 2 stages, Jeff.
Okay.
They're right next to each other, and music will run solid 12 hours on Saturday and 11 hours on Sunday. So
Wow.
it'd be a great event. Yeah.
Now, is that a holiday weekend?
That's all live music.
Yeah, no, I get it. Is that a holiday weekend?
No, it is not.
Okay, and so,
It's Armed Forces Day.
okay,
But, yeah, we're going to have a benefit for the veterans of foreign wars.
okay, that's great.
Yeah.
No, Vegas, that's big, and so I assume that will obviously be a moment of silence or whatever you're going to do surrounding that event for those.
I don't know if you're aware, in Vegas they've got a program called Vegas Strong that developed
Yep.
after the massacre up there, and the city has really come back strong, just like their slogan says.
Yeah, I do know something about it. We've had a number of people on the TV show talk about it. The Vegas Strong, the funds available for people who are victims. Yeah, it's something like in all cities, whether it's San Bernardino, and by the way, we're on the air in San Bernardino, Riverside counties, which are just a hop, skip, and a jump from where the concert's being held. So you should get some activity either to your website. Do you have a phone number in case people want to get in hold of you by phone?
Yeah, 760-974-6112.
Okay, excellent. And this is
For all the out-of-towners, this is the first time the city has allowed camping on city property. We have enough space for 3,000 campsites. That'll hold 12,000 people.
wow.
And it's all safe and secure. They can bring their motor home. They can bring their tent and sleeping bag, or they can sleep in the back of their pickup. But
Yeah.
it's going to be quite a party, and I'd love to invite everybody that's listening to come and enjoy the show. It's priced moderately, and you can, again, go to our website, www.theloveend.org, to get all the information you need.
John, thank you very much. And is it Mike, your partner?
That's right.
Mike, thank you very much, both of you, for coming on, promoting the event. I love it. I can't wait to go myself, and I really appreciate you spending time with us.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
No problem. And I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For questions or comments, send emails to info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929. That's our telephone number. Pick up the phone, give us a call, and we talk to you about your mortgage issues, your problems, maybe some of the solutions that you've found over the years haven't worked this time around, and you're not really sure why. You need to talk to a professional, obviously somebody in the business. Malibu Funding, Inc. is the sponsor of this show, 79620. That's their NMLS number, and I really appreciate them putting us on the air. We do bring great guests to the show all the time, and one of the things we like to do is to present alternative programs as well as mainstream programs, and some of the lenders that we bring on the show from time to time offer those things, and today is no exception. From Orion Lending is Clark Knobloch. First time on the show. Clark, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm just great, thanks, man. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
No, I'm glad you did. And just so that the audience knows what Orion does and where you guys are located, can you just give us a brief outline of the company and yourself, probably?
Yeah, we're Orion Lending's in Orange County. We are a wholesale lender that really not too different from most lenders out there, in the sense that we do offer the conventional FHA, VA. Manufactured housing, USDA, things like that. But we also do some outside-the-box lending on our Alt-A product. We have great turn times, next-day turn times, no overlays. There's a lot of benefits that come along with Orion Lending. Bottom line is that your customer is going to be taken care of, because the process is quick and painless.
Let me ask you a little bit. There's a shrinking number of loans in the marketplace, and a lot of lenders are competing for that by offering different kinds of products than the standard Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Ginnie Mae products. Do you guys give us an idea or a sampling or maybe even a taste of something that you guys might do a little bit differently that you're thinking can be a good and successful product for you?
Well, I mean, we've seen obviously the refi, the rate and term refi market kind of be saturated and done. The rates have gone up a little bit. So,
Yep.
thinking outside the box, we're obviously still wanting to do those, those cash out refis and the purchases. If those are, those are few and far between as well. But, there's those borrowers that have in the past not been able to qualify because they're self-employed. Most self-employed borrowers do the smart thing and they try to write off as much as possible. But
Right.
as you know, in the lending world, that's a no-no, and we get in trouble with that. But there are a lot of investors out there that are seeking these bank statement loans,
Yep.
where basically a self-employed borrower can verify their income by monthly deposits on their bank statements. If they're consistent and the investor can prove that, through either a 12 or 24-month bank statement proof, then we've basically got a deal. I mean, they're a little bit harder than your conventional deals.
Of course.
A little bit more documentation, a little bit more time consuming because some of them do have to be underwritten by the investor itself along with us.
Right.
But it really is a good alternative for those borrowers that can't prove their income via taxes.
Now, when you're in a program like a bank statement program, let's say you need 24 months, and you're saying your investor, the person that buys the loan from you, as well as you underwrite the file, what kind of time frame are we looking at in terms of that? So if somebody is like wanting to use you and wants to get into a purchase, they need a pre-approval letter. What kind of time frame should they write in that pre-approval letter?
I'm not going to be your typical lender here and say that it's a quick process.
Right.
We post 2 to 3 day turn times on the bank statement products. Typically, I have seen 1 to 2 days, depending on how busy the specific underwriters that can do it. Because there's only a handful of underwriters that can actually do these files.
Right.
Once that's done and it's approved, and all of our conditions are satisfied, I would say that the investor takes an additional 6 or 7 days to review that as well. The only other issue I would say that you could be facing is that investor has the option to add conditions as well. So you could be looking at an approval, and then all of a sudden, you have another 6 or 7 conditions. I'm not trying to deter somebody from doing one of these loans. I just want to make sure that anyone that does decide to do these loans, that you properly let your borrower know that, hey, these loans, they're good, you can get them done, but they are going to be a little bit more time consuming. So I'd say 30 to 45 days is a realistic time.
Right.
We actually don't even allow a lock to be done until the file is actually approved.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
That's the biggest thing. As an AE, and I'm sure you're seasoned, so but and I used to be a loan officer as well. So
Okay.
As long as you can project that onto your customer, and the customer knows, like, hey, your borrower knows that, hey, it's going to take a little bit of time, and you prepare the agents for that. It's not really that big of a deal as long as everybody knows what's going on.
When you say you have an investor for these loans, which is an unusual thing, are these being held by a larger entity, either some kind of fund or a sovereign entity or some kind of hedge, or because obviously they're not being sold to Fannie and Freddie or Ginnie, so there has to be a pool of money for these loans and obviously a place for them to land.
Correct. I don't know if I can discuss who exactly our investors are.
No, that's okay. I just, in general, right.
They are different entities. It could be, a pool of different investors.
Mm-hmm.
They are, for example, we had, I've been to a couple different lenders in the last 6 years, and this is my second lender that did these alt products, and SG Capital happens to be one of those investors that purchases these loans. I know they're a pretty common one. So
I see.
We actually have another one coming on board. There's a ton of these guys out there, by the way.
Right.
So it's they all have different guidelines. They all have different nuances. They all some of them are really strict and don't offer exceptions. Some of them do offer exceptions on certain things. You really it's luck of the draw, but it's something that's good for our industry because we went, you saw what we went through way long ago with the Fast
Sure.
and Easy and all those, you could handle loans to pretty much anybody.
Right. Right.
But definitely now as our options are limited because of these rate and term refis going away, this is another good option for us out there.
Yeah, there was a great article today in Mortgage News Daily, and it talked a lot about how big banks have found a different way to do subprime lending. Now, obviously, the word subprime brings back all that memory of what happened.
Not negative connotations.
Absolutely right. And what you're calling alt properties, yeah, that's what they were called before they were called subprime. But
Right.
the reality of these types of loans and the way that they have to be done in order, let's face it, if we're in a downturn in a certain way when it comes to doing rate and term refinances, right? If we're off 40% on those type of loans, a lot of lenders out there need to churn or need to be able to have loans in order to keep the doors open. Obviously, we're 18 months, 2 years away from the next recession, or whenever it is, we're going to have a reduction in rates and we're going to have more rate and term refis. That's just the way the mortgage market works. So to keep people employed, to keep them going, you have to have new products in the market in order to make up the difference of the loans we've lost. Is this the way that not only your company, but if you can prognosticate about the industry, is this what's happening? We're going to have more of these type of loans available than less?
I think it's trending that way. The reason, and then sorry to go back on this, but the reason why I don't like the subprime connotation to it is a lot of these programs have minimum FICO scores.
Right.
And the majority of them are around 680, 700. We do have one that goes down to 600. So, if you think about the subprime days, I mean, we were doing loans in the fours almost, I want to say. So,
right.
and these are people with, historically they needed some work done on their credit. They didn't, really show the ability to want to pay debt back. These I think are almost opposite. These are just obviously we're trying to lend to people with, good credit scores, show the ability to pay debts back, but, just have done things a little bit differently on their taxes.
Right.
So, I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I don't think it's going to trend towards necessarily the subprime, but like back in the day subprime.
Right, stated income, that kind of stuff.
Right. I mean, I'm starting to hear, stated income
Me too.
coming around
Yep.
again.
Yep.
I haven't gotten any details about that. I'm really interested to hear, and I think some even have it. I think Angel Oak or somebody has them. I'm not sure.
Well, I think they're because they're equity driven, right? So you have 35% into the property. What's the downside for the lender?
Right. Any of these borrowers that have just an enormous amount of assets, reserves. I mean, there's, it's going to be more centered around risk, I think. Right. For all these lenders.
Of course.
And it's just going to be a total package thing, just like how DU does it. DU looks at the total aspect of a loan and if it makes sense and it shows that it's low risk, I think there'll be a lot of investors out there that do it, and there'll be different ways to do it.
Hey, if someone...
I just don't know the details on it.
Clark, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Best way is to call me on my cell, 818-612-7246. I also do a lot of work by email. If people prefer that, which is CKNOB as in boy, LOCK @orionlending.com. Always available for any questions.
Hey, thanks very much. You know what? I really appreciated you coming on the show. Great information, and appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, great. And this has been Clark Knobloch from Orion Lending. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. For more information on today's topic, email Jeff Barton at info@malibufunding.net. Now, back to The Mortgage Voice with your host, Jeff Barton.
Welcome back, everybody. I am Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry. 888-713-2929. That's our telephone number. You can call us. You can also email us, info@malibufunding.net. You can see us on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, you can look up Real Estate, Jeff Barton, Real Estate Voice, the Real Estate Voice. And don't ask me why we've changed it from our website, which is The Mortgage Voice, but apparently that's what our marketers have figured out is the best way to do it. So either way, you can see what we're doing here on the radio show each and every week. We put this up, and we're really happy with it because we're getting a lot of information to people in ways that it's easier for them to either see it, hear it, download it, podcast it, however you want to get the information to you. I've had a couple of great guests on the show today. One, a concert promoter, John Vanis, and his son, Michael, out in Las Vegas. It's going to occur in May. And we just had Clark Knobloch on from Orion Lending, and Clark was great because he was honest about the process of certain types of loans. And off air, I was telling him a story about a particular lender that we were working with at Malibu Funding, and I want to thank Malibu Funding. Their NMLS number is 79620 for sponsoring the show, the Mortgage Voice that we're on now. But when we were talking to Clark off air about this other particular lending and how this other particular lender, they just weren't honest about the process going forward. They were so intent on corralling, snaring the loan that they were unwilling to be truthful. And when confronted with their particular omission, they denied that they ever had that conversation. And of course, three of us witnessed the conversation, and I specifically asked the person, I said, well, that particular aspect of the loan doesn't seem right to me. Are you sure? And the person, yeah, and everybody's been in that situation whereby you make sure you get a verbal and you have witnesses. And what does it mean at the end of the day? It means that we have to not do a particular deal with this particular lender because of the omission that they made and the lie that they told. And we have to take the loan somewhere else, which really hurts the borrower. And that's the main issue here. What is the concern of the borrower? That's what we should be looking at, and which we have. So we need to move the loan to somebody who will have that particular aspect of the loan in place so that we can move forward, get the loan closed. Luckily, this particular person is not on a time frame. It is not a purchase contract. And by the way, most of the loans being done, I would say 65 to 70% of the loans being done nationally right now, all purchase loans. We are coming into purchase season. Clark was talking about some of the loans that are being done or considered to be done, stated loans, and everybody hates that word, stated loans. We're not quite sure what the matrix is. I'm not sure that they're going to be comfortable in certain types of lenders or investors. I don't know what the loan is or how it's being done. But one thing I know is true. We are in an ascending market. If the fundamentals of this particular market are better than the last fundamentals in the market, which were obviously propped up by bad loans, bad mortgages, I don't think that's the case in this particular market. Why do I say that? Because what we have here for an historical amount of time is credit scores above a certain number, 640, I think. We have a good percentage, probably 75 to 80% above 700. Now, this gives you a history of the borrower who's making the payment, meaning that they are consistent over a long period of time of making payments to the particular investor or loan officer, not loan officer, the investor or the lender that they got the loan from. And this has been going on since really 2010 when the loan business turned. It turned around. At the time, we were doing predominantly purchase and refi, and we were doing FHA, probably 65 to 70% FHA. Well, right now, today, we're probably only doing 30% to 35% FHA, most of it conventional. Although we are seeing a larger percentage of the loans out there, which are these non-traditional products, either, the non-QM product or some kind of hybrid bank statement loan, some aspect of equity-only loan, meaning that lenders like Angel Oak or Citadel or Velocity or Athos, who primarily do these type of loans, are looking for 25 to 30% in the property, and then they're very comfortable lending the money based on your ability to repay, obviously, and some part to your credit score. And surprisingly, these loans are being done more and more because people who are in a business who want to write off some of the assets, not assets, but some of the expenses that they have on their business report, they get steady flow of income to their particular bank accounts, but what they really need is the ability to use the deposits as a way by which to secure the ability to repay. And so those type of lenders, those lenders that I just mentioned, the 4 or 5 of them, they're the ones who are doing it. And we're seeing a surprising, as I said, number of loans being done with them. Angel Oak has really blown up. They're national now. I remember when Eric Morganson came on the show, I don't know, about 4 years ago, we had a conversation, and he was just breaking into Angel Oak, and they were trying to establish a footprint not only here locally in Southern California and in Nevada. And I want to say hi, first of all, to everybody at KCAA, KMET, and K Tahoe, as well as the Roadrunner. They bring the show to you all every week, twice a week, 3 times a week, and we really appreciate that, because without their cooperation and their excellent service to the marketplace, we wouldn't be able to bring this information out to you. So thank you very much to those particular stations, and obviously the Roadrunner as well. Our online presence is increasing, not only the Roadrunner, but the Mortgage Voice, and also, as I mentioned, on YouTube. The products that we're talking about now, this non-QM type product, which is expanding in the marketplace here in Nevada and across the country, are products that you have to take a look at if you're in a non-conventional mode or non-FHA mode, if you have money to put down. We are doing ITIN numbers, the corporate numbers for foreign nationals. Yes, there are programs out there for foreign nationals, people who aren't U.S. citizen, who want to be able to get a loan, who want to be able to use their foreign bank accounts as assets. Yes, there are ways to do them. It is not simple, but it is possible. I talked earlier about looking out for online people who are promising the moon to you, or getting you to agree to do something that you probably know you shouldn't be doing, just for the basis of getting a loan, regardless of the assurances that you're going to get as to the validity of the person telling you things you shouldn't be doing. Don't do them. Don't be insane. It carries with it incredible penalties, as well as, jail time. So, in regards to all that, make sure that obviously the documentation you're providing to the loan officer, even though they verify them, it's not always 100% in terms of, I can't tell you if you're in a conspiracy to be able to defraud me, the lender, an investor. It's very hard to check that until you get down the line and really dig into it. So, yeah, you might be able to get away with it initially, but you'll eventually be caught, and then the FBI is involved in a bunch of other things. So because mortgage fraud is not necessarily on the rise, but it's something to be aware of, especially in a market where we've got high competition for properties out there in the marketplace where you want to buy. You want to buy a property, and you want to get in there, and you want to own part of America, part of the American dream, whether it's, your first home or your 15th home. You want to get in on it, and you want to make sure that you can secure that property for yourself, for your family, or for an investment. I understand the desire to be able to do things that you may not want to do. So just heads up, don't do it. Call me and let me know what you're planning on doing, and I'll talk you out of it. Believe me. And the number here is 888-713-2929. You can always call me. You can always email info@malibufunding.net, because you got to know that, look, I know renting is hard. It is. And when you see rents going up the way they have, we were talking about rents in certain parts of the city based on where rents were 5 and 6 years ago. I mean, doubling the rent, yeah, no problem. $3,500 for a house, yeah, all over San Fernando Valley, all over San Gabriel Valley, all over the Inland Empire, San Bernardino, and Riverside counties. You can see huge rents. And yes, the desire to get a house so that you're paying in equity, so that you get equity in your property, especially since the market is going up. I 100% get it, but don't be one of those people who will cut corners and able to try to get something, because it does come back to haunt you. I'm really happy that you are listening to the show, and given the fact that all of these things are happening in the marketplace with either your realtor or your loan officer, just be honest, be upfront, be straightforward, and you can probably get maybe not your ideal property, but you could probably get a property pretty close to that. I know that here in where I'm sitting right now in Ventura County, I had a couple that was trying to get into a property, $850,000, and it was a push for them. It was a stretch for them, and you could tell that that part of the equation was not 100%. So we moved out into some areas that the price of the properties was $700,000, which they were much more comfortable at. They were getting 100% VA loan, and for them to come in with a small amount versus a larger amount was better for them. And so they're more comfortable, and showing them properties in that price range is really the way to go. But there are properties they can't afford, and I think that's what I want to emphasize here. You can afford something. Just make sure you get the proper identification of what you want to buy and the documentation so that your loan officer and real estate agent get you what you want. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jeff Barton, your voice in the mortgage industry, 888-713-2929. That's our telephone number. Pick up the phone, give us a call. We can help you with all kinds of things that you need questions answered. I know that I'm taking buyers out. I'm talking to borrowers. I talk to loan officers, to account executives all day long, every day. And all they do is ask me questions about what's going on with my business. I had a call today from a lender who said, hey, listen, how do I get to more and more of your loan officers so they can give me business? And I said, you know what? You're preaching to the choir. I ask them that all the time. How can we get more business? Well, one of the problems about that is that you begin to, as a loan officer, as a consumer, and you go to the internet and you look up stuff and you begin to trust what's on there. And a word to the wise, be careful what you're looking for online because like fake news, there's a lot of fake going on in the internet, and I don't want to give a percentage, but someone was telling me 50% of the stuff you see there is not true. And I would say that on my Facebook account, it's probably the same thing. You see reports and you see things that look official, and you see advertisements, either paid or unpaid, and you just got to be absolutely careful. One of the things that I'm going to talk about is CFPB and the issue of their complaint report comes out every year. I want to bring Daryl in to ask him a couple of questions just about the CFPB, of course, is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, and it's headed up by Mulrooney. This particular article is by Barbara Mishkin, and she writes it about the complaints every year. Daryl, how many complaints do you think the CFPB receives every year?
I'm sure that there's some are legitimate and some are not. So
give me a number. How many do you think?
Yeah, 15,000.
The official number for 2017 was 320,200 complaints. Not 201, but 200, which, again, it's a number.
We should throw another one over the fence just to throw them on.
Yeah, exactly. So of these 320,000, you're breaking it up by 12, and you're figuring, okay, so it's about 28,000 a month. It's about 1,000 a day.
So is it like Dancing with the Stars where you could vote up to 10 times
I don't know. It's funny you say that because I too agree. I mean, that seems like a lot, but when you consider of the credit transactions that take place with your credit card, with people calling you for debt collection, for mortgages, it's anything related to finance.
Oh, okay.
It's really not that big a deal.
Okay, with credit card and stuff, yeah.
Right, exactly. Okay, so 81% were received through the CFPB website, 5% via telephone, 8% via referrals from other agencies and regulators. Do they get a kickback on those referrals? Just an idea. Anyway, so of the complaints, it breaks down into categories. And I gave you a couple there, but the largest one, what do you think the largest one with 100,000 complaints is?
It's got to be credit cards.
Debt collection.
Really?
Debt collection.
Oh, the people that called.
Yeah.
You
owe me.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Right, because you know what happens if, let's say you have a charge-off, and everybody knows what a charge-off is, right? Okay, so you haven't paid a bill. You're never going to pay the bill.
The company gives up on you.
Yeah, they give up on, and the report on your credit report says charge-off.
Yeah, write-off. Yeah.
However, that particular bill never dies.
Well, there's still someone that will get something if they can get you to pay it.
Correct. So they sell that debt. So here is 100,000 people who are complaining, probably a lot of them on charge-offs or mortgage debt or some other bill that was once on their credit report, is now being harassed to death because they haven't paid the bill that's either charged off or the company who was owed to gave up on it but sold the debt to some company to go out and collect.
I had a weird one last week, right?
Okay.
I've got 2 home phone numbers
Yeah.
still, but 10 years ago I switched them over to Verizon. They're on modems. They're not a hardwired, AT&T line.
Right.
And I got a call from a collection guy somewhere in the Midwest that said that I still owed AT&T a couple of $100, right?
Uh-huh.
I said, I don't have an AT&T account. And he says, well, this is from a while back. I said, how long is a while back? 13 years ago. Right?
Okay.
And I said, well, provide me some information.
Yeah, right.
Send me a copy of the bill, and I'll take a look at it and make sure it's legitimate. He goes, oh, you were sent a notice at the time. I said, 13 years ago,
You were sent a notice at the time.
I said, send me some information. He says, that's water under the bridge, my friend. You were well aware of this debt. Please just send me a check. I said, first of all, I'm not an idiot. Second of all, maybe there are people, that under these circumstances will write you a check based on you just saying that they owe you money.
Oh, just give me your credit card, sir. We can take care of it right now.
But I'm not one of them, right?
Right.
So unless you can prove to me with some sort of paperwork that I owe you this money, go on to the next guy. Leave me alone.
Go on. And they got a list in front of them.
Of course.
And you're just the next guy on the list.
Right. Smile and dial. Have fun.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, have fun.
And you know what? I assume that a lot of this debt, especially a debt like that, is purchased for pennies.
Oh, of course. Never heard from him again.
No, and you won't.
No, he's done.
He's basically, if he's a one call closer.
Right. He had no proof that I even owed the money.
No, he's just a guy on a phone. Now, there are a lot of scams in Florida dealing with old people.
Oh, that's horrible.
Guys on
Horrible.
the phone saying, hey, you owe the money. Hey, you need to pay me right now. Hey, we're going to shut off your water, your power. Hey, if you don't, same like this. I'm from this agency or I'm from this gas company. It's just awful.
And especially the ones where people call and say, hey, Grandma,
Yeah.
Is this Andy? Yes, this is Andy. I'm out of the country and I need
Wire me
money.
this money.
Yeah.
No, but these kind of scams by these debt collection people.
Oh, it's horrible.
Awful. They're awful. Okay, so that's basically 100,000 of the complaints of the 320 are on debt collectors. Still
Most of them are just unethical.
unethical and just, my son, and I've told this story last week, he's getting out of college and he's going to get a job. Most of the people that want to hire young people with history degrees, okay, my son chose a degree, which really, most history degrees go back to get their MBA, either that or become a lawyer or teacher, or, they do research for companies. That's what history majors are good at.
Right.
If you need that kind of background information, if you need somebody who does research. Anyway, so 3 out of 4 of the jobs he's already been offered are, you're on the phone.
Yeah.
You're on the phone either asking for clients or collecting money for clients, or on one of them, he said, well, why didn't you tell me it was a telemarketing job? And the guy said, because you wouldn't have
been
called.
here, yeah.
Exactly right. Okay, so the next one, clocking in at 84,500 complaints. What do you think the next one is?
It's got to be, load. It's something about interest rates.
What you
and
said,
loans.
credit
Yeah,
reporting.
Yeah.
Basically, issues on their credit report. And if you're out there right now and there's freecreditreport.com, there's a number of ways that you can see what's on your credit report.
Can't you get a free transcript of your credit report once a year?
That's
yourself?
like from a company
Yeah,
like
true.
freecreditreport.com.
Yeah.
Or there's a number of them out there. And if you see stuff on
Credit Karma.
yeah, all that stuff. And I'm not endorsing any of these companies because, quite frankly, I have the ability to see mine because I'm in the business and I'll be able to see what is on my credit report, especially if I refinance or whatever else I have to do for my own property. But if you're out there and you're wondering what's on your credit report and you find out through one of these free credit reports that stuff's not right and it's not on there and you try to get it off. Now, it's a pain to get it off. You got to write the 3 agencies, not the agencies, the credit reporting bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and whatever the other one is, the one that got everybody in trouble. That was Equifax.
Experian.
Right? Experian, yes. Thank you very much. That's the one. So if you have to write each one of these bureaus and dispute each one of these items and then be able to, well, it's just really hard. And that was one of the largest complaints. I don't know if you've had trouble in that area. I have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have.
exactly. And it's a real hassle to deal with it.
It's
Now,
real easy for people to get stuff put on there. It's real tough to get it taken off.
It absolutely is. Now, clocking in at third, which is in my wheelhouse here, with 37,300 complaints is
Loans.
the loans, right? The mortgage business.
Mortgage.
Right,
yeah.
which to me sounds low. I don't know why. It just does. It just,
Well, how many loans are processed a year?
well, millions.
Oh, so by a percentage, that's pretty low.
That's pretty
It's like a tenth or a hundredth of a percent.
I think even lower than that.
Yeah.
And I think that is a testament to the industry and how it's really cleaned up its act on the
Well,
front of the
it's
loans.
highly regulated as well.
It's unbelievable.
Much more so than than credit cards or credit bureaus.
Absolutely. Or debt collectors. Any of
Right.
those companies are not as regulated, and it's not a federal regulation, even though it falls under the CFPB report. I think it's really important to understand that mortgages have state agencies, federal agencies, and they have the individual industry itself, all the lenders who are regulated, who are either lending the money or giving you a loan or purchasing those loans. They're all regulated really heavily, and it's very important for them to maintain that integrity of the front end of the loan, and that's why I believe, now it may sound like a lot, but it's really not.
A lot of integrity, a lot of paperwork.
Right, exactly
A lot
right.
of oversight.
Hey, Daryl, thanks for jumping in. And by the way, if you wanted to see this consumer finance report from the CFPB, you can go to Mortgage News Daily. There's an article on it today, and they've actually just stopped issuing them quarterly. They're going to do it yearly. Anyway, I'm Jeff Barton. Thanks, Daryl, for jumping in. I'm your voice in the mortgage industry, and we'll be back next week. Thank you.
You're listening to The Mortgage Voice with Jeff Barton. For more on today's topic, visit www.malibufunding.net.